How's it going, guys? This is Vincenzo from home of Milan coming back at you once again. Furthermore, today we got some stuff to break down. We got the draw versus Genoa to break down and also the preview versus Cagliari in the Serie A. So without any further ado, guys, let's jump into this. But before we do, make sure you guys check us out on all of our socials at Instagram, Twitter, Bunches, and TikTok, all at home of Milan. And get involved in the comment section below. Make sure you guys like and subscribe to this video. Without any further ado, guys, let's jump into this. In a game that was most disappointing, we are left once again with another mid-table performance from Milan. And at this point of this season, there's just nothing to play for except for pride. And it looked like we weren't even playing for that today. I guess you can say that the main talking point of this game was that the Curva Sud would be protesting this game by not chanting or bringing any flags to cheer the team on because they were, and I quote, they were trying to encourage the club to invest in a coach who knows how to stimulate the group and enhance youth. And I 100% agree with that statement that the Curva Sud made. And Milan lining up with something a little bit more favorable for the attacking creativity. And we saw once again that trio of Leao, Pulisic, and Chukwueze with Giroud as the lone striker. And in my opinion, and to others as well, that it doesn't make sense that Giroud is starting these games because he is already heading to LAFC once the season is done in the MLS. And it just doesn't make sense to start him while we have guys like Okafor and Jovic who are on the bench. But I digress. And it only took Genoa 4 minutes to take the lead from a silly challenge from Fikayo Tomori, who gives away a penalty kick, but just doesn't have to make this challenge in the first place. There's no threat to our goal. And of course, Genoa convert their penalty, and now we're trailing the game 4 minutes in. And the reaction from the team was absolutely terrible, and I sound like a broken record when I say this, but I'm just talking how I see it. Constant back passing, vertical passes because we failed to move in dangerous areas and be a threat to goal. And as Milan were failing to create chances, we actually equalized right before the half through a fantastic ball over the top from Chukwueze, and Florenzi is there in the box to score a header goal, who scores his first goal of the season. And I just want to talk about Chukwueze for a good little second here because in my opinion, Chukwueze was one of the best players on the pitch today, and he was the only threat to the opposition and really showing how dynamic he is once the confidence is flowing, once the trust is given to him and his teammates. And I hope that he could be a main piece to this Milan team because with him showing how good he can be today, I hope that he can be one of the main protagonists in this Milan squad come next year under a brand new coach, of course. And the last thing I wanted to say about this Florenzi goal was that I saw a clip on Twitter going around circulating on my feed, and I saw that once Florenzi scored, we see Pioli not even jump, celebrate, or embrace nobody. And I think that's just a big indication that he knows that he's on his way out. And to be honest, it could have been more clear from his body language. When the second half started, we were hoping to see a Milan team being a little bit more conservative because we saw how dangerous that Genoa could be on the attack and maybe hit Genoa on the counterattack. But instead, we concede a goal of our own. And it was us being outnumbered in the box. And you see a Genoa player jump up and between Gabbia and Tomori, head the ball and give Genoa the lead. And once again, we're trailing the game only 3 minutes into the second half. I don't know if this performance has to do with it being the end of the season or us qualified for Champions League or just nothing really to play for, but our defensive capabilities need to be a big talking point in this next transfer window. And the main question for me was, where was Malik Thiaw? Was he hurt? Was he just not feeling well? After a phenomenal performance against Juventus, Pioli rewards him with a nice warm spot on the bench. After the Genoa goal, a couple minutes later, we saw Leao come off and Okafor came in. And Leao with another performance when you're asking, why can't he get the best out of this Genoa defense? And to me, the blood is on a specific man's hands to make sure our players are in the correct position and the right spaces to get the best out of them. And we saw this whole game how unorganized Milan was, not only in the defensive end, but also offensively as well. And of course, Noah Okafor comes on and he makes a great impact. And much like I said about Chukwueze, I hope that Noah Okafor can get the opportunity and that chance to make his mark in this team. And the way that today he was beating his man multiple times to create us chances was so great to see. And he was robbed an assist from Giroud, by the way, who clearly has his head in the beaches of Los Angeles as he's going to LAFC at the end of the season. And that miss was absolutely shocking from a player of Giroud's quality where, I mean, we'll get into his goal later, but he has to be putting in that chance to give us the equalizer. And in the 72nd minute, we are given a corner and Florenzi makes a nice little ball into the box for Gabbia to put his head onto it and equalize the match for us. And after the goal, the team looked a lot more hungry to get another. And 2 minutes later, Chukwueze makes a nice little run to drag 2 Genoa defenders out of the way for Pulisic to run into the space and makes a nice little floating cross into the box for Giroud to volley it for the 3-2 lead. And in the most Giroud fashion, of course, this guy can score a first-time volley with his first touch, but he can't score a tap-in from 10 yards out. Make it make sense. And after that, we were hoping that this team were going to close out the game and grab all 3 points, but Genoa had other plans, and in the 87th minute, Genoa equalized with a own goal by Malik Thiaw, which was the most confusing own goal because not only was I upset that it happened, I was sat there shocked because I didn't know who was to blame on this one because Tomori tried to clear it out, but his clearance just wasn't good enough and it just bobbled in the box and it was just a complete mess and Genoa grabbed the equalizer. And we end the game 3-3 in a match where we should have taken all 3 points if we stayed concentrated in the end. Let's go to tops and flops. Top for me, I'm going to say Chukwueze because for me, out of the bunch, he was the most dynamic. And a special shout out to Pulisic and Okafor who were effective too. In flop, I'm going to say Tomori on this one with so many mistakes leading up to the goals. He was responsible for most of them. And to me, I think Tomori is just a bit too erratic and tries to do the most when he just has to keep it simple, calm, and have a clear head. But it looks like he's just thinking about everything. And instead of having the patience and the calmness that some of these great defenders have, unfortunately, Tomori just doesn't have that in his locker. But I'm hoping that in these next couple games, he can kind of figure it out and just end the season on a positive note. Let's preview the next game in the Serie A versus Cagliari. Cagliari currently sit in 15th and are in a relegation battle. And I think all football fans know that playing a relegation team towards the tail end of the season is probably one of the hardest games you can play in the whole season. So obviously, Cagliari are going to try their absolute hardest not to get relegated to Serie B. And of course, we are also away for this game, I believe. So obviously, with that factor as well, it's going to be a very tough game. But again, I'm still thinking a little optimistic. And I think that we could grab a win here, but by the slightest of margins. So I'm going to predict a 1-0 victory for Milan to grab all 3 points. I think that'll do it for this episode, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. Check us out on all of our socials in the links below and get involved in the comment section below. What was going on with Milan today? What do you guys think that we can bring home in the next game versus Cagliari? And maybe throw in your little transfer wish list, if you will, in the comment section below. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Ciao ragazzi.